most memorable masses that I've attended was in a little parish church in the Chianti district of Tuscany. In many ways it was a rather ordinary liturgy, but what made it extraordinary for me was the presence on the sanctuary throughout the Mass of a Down syndrome man and an intellectually disabled man. They were there in the form of altar servers, although most of the work was done by the intellectually disabled person. Nonetheless, the Down syndrome man was with the priest throughout the liturgy, sitting beside him high on the presidential step, and even standing beside him throughout the Holy Eucharistic prayer. That was the amusing part, because at this point he had his both arms on the altar, gazing up curiously on the congregation and occasionally picking his nose. The local community all seemed to take this in their stride. They obviously knew the men and they were used to seeing them there. For me, it was a wonderful expression of the heart of Christianity. The powerless, the vulnerable, the marginalised, those whom society might consider weak and disregard, were in this Christian community right at the centre of things, right at the centre of this community's most sacred moment. This deeply Christian concept of society is countercultural to any society that prizes strength. Indeed, it was so countercultural to the perspectives held by ancient Rome as to be ludicrous. Recall how ruthless the Romans were, how they prized strength. For them, compassion was an intolerable weakness, and weakness itself something to be despised. There was no beauty in vulnerability, only contempt. Power was about domination, as appropriation, about taking control, taking possession, might and strength. But for Jesus, power was about the bonds of relationship, gratitude and friendliness, the capacity of suffering sympathy, grief and tenderness, about dissatisfaction with the present. As the German theologian Jürgen Moltmann would say, in Jesus, the love of power is transformed into the power of love. This is the lesson that the disciples must learn in the gospel, and that we ourselves must constantly relearn. There is a bit of Roman in each of us, the instinct to want power. Power as control, power as might and strength. There is a part in each of us which despises vulnerability. We want to be immune from it. Is this not in fact what can be a significant dimension of the current interest in euthanasia? We want the right to be in control, to be able to exercise our control at our own choosing, to avoid dependency on another, not to suffer. The thinking goes, I have a right not to suffer. And so suffering must be anaesthetised, literally. Yes, the choice of euthanasia gives me the illusion of control over life. It does not, however, give me the meaning of life, which can only be discovered in that mutual surrender of being cared for and caring. Jesus' message to us today, then, is as relevant in our own social context as in first century Palestine. Jesus invites us to recognise a new kind of power, the power that is present in human solidarity, the power that is present in sharing one another's suffering, the power that is present in a life lived from love and in hope. This is the radical Christian insight that vulnerability, rather than might, is where the real power lies and where how God is reflected most transparently. Though the liturgy of that Tuscan community may have been ordinary, their practice was extraordinary, extraordinarily Christian. With them, may we also learn where the real power of the world lies.